And we are live. Happy hump day, ladies and gentlemen. It is the DFS 5-pack here talking a little NBA preseason. If you guys want the NFL video that dropped yesterday, it is already out. And because we got to like 103 likes yesterday on the main video, this is our members only video, free to the public today. And we'll run it right back, guys. You want to like this video 100 times, this will be free to the public again tomorrow. Until the regular season starts, I don't mind dropping, or we don't mind dropping some information for free. When you guys are helping us out, we'll do our best to try to help you out.
Yeah, let's get it, man. Pumped that we got over 100 likes across the slate yesterday, so hyped to talk over this one.
Yeah, nice work by you figuring out later in the day that Halliburton, who was a guy that we liked a lot yesterday, was going to be on a minutes restriction and getting that information out to all the paying customers and everything like that. I mean, most of you guys, if you watched this yesterday, you know, Halliburton was one of our favorite overall plays, but information came out like an hour before the slate started saying that he was going to be on a minutes restriction. That's the hard part about preseason. And like, we're going to come on here every day and talk about it and do our best, but it's just not as simplistic as the regular season and the playoffs. Like, you guys have heard me like talk about why I love the NBA playoffs so much for DFS. I mean, it's set in stone. Like, you know who's going to play for the most part. In the preseason, this is wild. This is why you're really enjoying it. You know, pivoting over to from Halliburton to Guy, you know, what was the point difference in that one? 15, 20?
Yeah, like 20-point difference, and Halliburton was still higher owned. I thought Guy was going to be like kind of chalky once that news came out. He was not. I mean, I had him in like 4 of my 5, and he was still under 10% owned.
I think he was 8% in the tournament that I played in. And, you know, you got me onto the pivot, you know, right before a lock and stuff like that. So that's great. I mean, preseason's hard, guys. If you're struggling, it makes sense to be struggling right now. There's a lot of luck involved in it, but there's also a lot of edges you can get by looking at it late into the day.
The thing is, it's difficult, and you're right about everything you just said. You know, Kyle Guy was spot on. He was really good. He made a game-winning 3. I don't know if you saw it. You know,
like, I was in bed before that game ended. I got sleep for once.
They were down 2. He made a buzzer-beating 3, which obviously helped. Without Kyle Guy, like, let's say he has like 15, you know, I don't even know if that lineup I had that did well cashes. You know what I'm saying? Because the points are really close in these preseason games.
Well, I know Rhea talked over Steph Curry during the members only video yesterday. I'm like, I don't really know what their plan is with him. He didn't play for a long time. And then, you know, 5 o'clock Central, you're hitting me with news that they want to give him a really big run. And he was chalky as hell because he was already really cheap. But I played him in every lineup, and I think he was the top overall scorer. I didn't look that closely, but he was darn near 50 points.
Yeah, you definitely had to have Curry. I mean, he was damn near 75% owned. He was really good. He made 3s. He got steals. So kind of like what we talked about. Guys in the earlier game weren't chalky, but like Embiid was about 30%. Simmons was under that. But, you know, just because it was the early game, I imagine if that game was played later, those guys would have gotten 0 love.
Yeah, very, very possibly. So, I mean, that's the, you know, kind of a recap of yesterday. It's tough to talk through the NBA preseason because there's just not a lot of like guarantees in it, you know, other than like the Pelicans guys from 2 days ago when they were told they were going to play 30 minutes. That's great. That's a guarantee. I just watched Tommy Boy the other day for the first time, and I'm thinking about, you want me to shit in a box and call it guaranteed? I will. That was the one time we got something like that during the preseason where coach said how much they're going to play. It's tough. So keep grinding late in the day if you really want to try to get an edge on things like this. You know, we do our best during the day, but we're taking guesses at this point of the day. You can get better information sometimes later in the day, but there's no guarantee of even that.
It's such a classic movie. That's all I'm thinking about right now. Like, I haven't seen that movie in years, but I mean, I've probably seen it 50 times in my life.
It's a great movie. So before we get into just talking over the slate in general, we're going to talk through the whole thing. Like, again, this will probably be almost an hour long. It's quote unquote our members only video. We did run a lifetime membership deal this week. Typically pricing is $400, but we're doing 25% off this week. Lifetime members get every sport we cover: baseball, basketball, football, everything we ever do with literally 0 future payments. It was without question the best value that you can get. One of our guys who'd been a customer for NFL before said he signed a lifetime deal with us yesterday. He's like, and I like what he said right here: give them a look, no BS, not just fake fluff results. We talk about it when we lose. We talk about when we win, and just kind of give it to you guys as straight up as possible. We don't win every day. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys we win every single day. Not even close. Nobody does, but we try to be honest with you guys. It's how I've always marketed this thing from the beginning. It was one of the reasons that it kind of made sense when we teamed up. It's kind of the same stuff. We're not going to sit here and just lie to you guys about how we win every day when that's just not even close to being the case. But we'll do our best to help out. $300 instead of $400 right now. If you sign up through the website, I'll send you a reimbursement by the end of the day. If you want to pay manually, the PayPal and Venmo addresses below. Again, you'll never make another payment with us. And speak of the devil, these are our boys over at Overlay Fantasy Sports. What I always talk about every day is the matchup shop. If you haven't tried playing it yet, guys, give it a whirl. It is fun. They don't have any contests up for today. Yesterday, one of our lifetime customers, Ryan Monks, who's really big into this, I hadn't even looked yet. He's like, hey, man, we got Simmons +6 against Embiid. And this is after we had done members only, saying there's no way Embiid plays as many minutes as Simmons. So we went in, jumped in on this one. And even though Embiid was really good, the fact Simmons played in the second half got us the money right there. It's a lot of fun. Give it a look-see, overlaydfs.com. And if you make an initial deposit, hit me with it with a screenshot so I can give you a free 5-pack membership.
Actually, when you talked, forgot to tell you this, but when we talked about that Simmons versus Embiid yesterday, I literally deposited right when we talked about it so I could put that in. I got it at 4.5. I still didn't care. I would have taken Simmons as like a pick 'em. So thank you.
Monk's got it at +6. I mean, that's pretty darn good. I was still good at +5, +4.5. I would have signed it. It's just difficult when you see something at, you as like a sports bettor big time. If you see something like at a +6, it's hard to bet it at 4 and 5 later in the day just because you know what it was.
Extremely hard.
All right. So we're going to go through these like team by team today. And I'm going to start with the New York Knicks since today's cover boy comes from the New York Knicks. I would say one of my favorite overall plays from today's game is going to be RJ Barrett. He's played big minutes and had big results. You get him at, the inferior positions of shooting guard and small forward today. I have no reason to believe, unless I see something, that he's not going to play bigger minutes again today. He's been really good so far throughout the preseason, and he's very affordable.
I like this entire game, so I'm with you.
Yeah, both of these teams are playing their third preseason game today, which is worth noting. Your boy Collins, well, we'll finish up with the Knicks, and then we'll roll over to the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I was looking through the Knicks box scores a little bit today, and there's a couple of guys from that team in play. My favorite was Barrett, but I also liked Nerlens Noel, who's, again, really cheap, puts up DFS points in a hurry. He's been playing 20-plus minutes every single game. They got him in the starting lineup, and he's been producing.
I get that 100%.
Was there anybody from the Knicks that you really had shortlisted? Because there's a good number of decent plays so far this morning.
Yeah, I like Barrett. I was definitely looking at Randall. I mean, he's very affordable at 6,600. Yep. He's that veteran, so you don't feel like, again, you don't feel warm and fuzzy about it. But, I mean, he's another guy that we love Randall. I mean, I know both of us feel very strongly about how, good he is when he's playing well. And I think he's a fine play here. I don't think he's a must, but I think he's fine.
Let's just take a look at the box score from the second New York Knicks game, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what kind of minutes these guys were playing, what their production was, and things like that, because you don't get those scores in DK quite yet. Like, Randall played 32 minutes last game. It wasn't even his best game, but, in 32 minutes, he could even be better than this.
Yeah, man. To be quite honest, I love that DK doesn't have the box scores up. I think that people
for you, that's great.
People are lazy. I mean, we talk about that all the time, right? Like, people don't want to do the research. It's another edge. And even if it's only one person that doesn't want to do the research, that's one person,
Yeah, man. RJ Barrett played 36 minutes. Randall played 32. And then they kind of divvied it up between guys like Noel, Burks, Reggie Bullock, Obi Toppin, and things like that. I have no reason to believe otherwise that RJ Barrett won't play big minutes again.
I agree, and I would expect Randall to as well as their best player.
Yeah, I mean, they got a new coach over here. I would be leery of the point guards. I think Alfred Payton had a big game 1, if I remember correctly, and didn't do anything in game 2 and only played 18 minutes. I like Noel, but I think he'll get a little love. But, if you want to give a whirl to Mitchell Robinson, who played almost the same number of minutes, rock and roll.
And he also balled game 1. He started off slow and then had 4 blocks or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, they played about the same minutes. I don't even care. You could even play them both together.
Yeah, we talked about Giles and Canner earlier this year doing that, and that one worked out really well. And most people will not do that.
No, yesterday, they didn't play well, but you could have played Fall and Robert Williams. Again, they didn't end up playing well, but they easily could have both gotten 20.
Yeah, Robert Williams was pretty blah. And then Taco Fall didn't play a ton. Again, Julius Randle also played 29 minutes in game 1. Barrett played 29 minutes in game 1. Like you said, Mitchell Robinson played 22, had 4 steals and 2 blocks. I'm guessing you can get Mitchell Robinson at very low ownership, but I wasn't looking as closely as Randall, but now that I review this again, he's definitely shortlisted with me, along with RJ Barrett and both of the centers as guys I'm considering today.
I'm with you.
So just as a quick review, if you want to shoot your shot with Peyton Rivers, Smith, Niakina, blah, 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 do your thing. I don't really care. That's not for me. It's RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and then Robinson and Noel are all guys that are going to get a look from me. And Randle is very inexpensive. And unless we find anything else otherwise, dude could play 33 minutes today, and I would not be shocked.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's on the short list easily.
All right, so let's roll over to your Cleveland Cavaliers, who are difficult to discuss this morning because we got a couple of guys that may or may not play, including, who's probably still their best player, Kevin Love, but he's older, veteran. He's considered questionable. We don't know about him yet. And then your emerging best player, Colin Sexton, is also considered questionable. Do you have any inklings if these dudes are going to play?
No, I would never play Love in a preseason game, I don't think.
God, no. I'm just saying, if he's out, there's more minutes.
I know. I'm just saying that just so it's clear. I know you weren't asking that because I know you wouldn't either. Definitely more interested in the backcourt from Cleveland. Kind of hope Sexton's out because then I think you can definitely take a look at Garland and Exum.
All right, so we want to reiterate here that this is also Cleveland's third game, which makes you feel better about some of these main pieces playing. And there hopefully will be a little bit more clarity later in the afternoon, but for the time being, we'll just make our best guesses. I'm with you. I don't expect Kevin Love to play, but even if he does play, it's probably for 15 minutes at most.
I've heard, Garland got a little bit of love that first slate. We liked him. I heard a bunch all over. Garland sucks. He's not good. That is not true. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar, but he is talented. This is not a scrub. So I like going right back to Garland.
He played 29 minutes the other day, 17, 3, 2, and 4. That's just the internet's for you. People overreact. Right. The guy that I have some interest in is Andre Drummond, who, even though I think the whole world is down on him from a real life perspective, and for good reasons, he's not a guy that really translates to winning. He's still a DFS superstar. He played 23 minutes the other day, threw up what appears to be darn near 40 DK points, took 3 3-pointers. And this is up about 5 or 6 or 7 minutes from game 1. So why couldn't Drummond play 28 minutes tonight, especially with Nance out, potentially no Kevin Love?
Yeah, listen, I can get on board with Drummond, Garland, Dotson, Okoro, and Exum. 5 on Cleveland.
Still no JaVale McGee either. So, if you want to really shoot your shot with a Thon Maker, if Kevin Love is out, that's probably not where I'd end up because I think he's terrible, but I get it if you do it.
I'd rather go to Okoro, 4,200. He looks like a good value on this slate.
I'm with you on that one. They got a plethora of guys. Again, this could change a little bit. If Sexton's in, that does bump down all the other
Yes.
guys.
If Sexton's in, it definitely bumps them down. I think you can. If Sexton's in, it might take me off a lot of Cleveland.
I can see that because he's your emerging best player. He has the ball in his hand a ton. What was he out with?
Click on him. I can't remember.
Ankle. Okay. So, stay tuned for that. Nice part is this is the first game. And even though DraftKings doesn't update their scores, they at least list the starting lineups. If you don't have time to go look at a bunch of other websites to check that stuff out, it should be up there. I'm with you, though. Exum was phenomenal last game. And this is the guy he's out there fighting for playing time. You know what I mean? So, this is a spot for him to, say, hey, guys, I'm here. Give me a shot in the regular season. Let me show you what I have. So, it makes sense for him to be aggressive.
100%, man. I can get on board with a bunch of Cleveland here. Talked yesterday about the early games and, would rather go to the late games because I think you can get an ownership leverage. But this is my favorite game on the slate. It just is what it is.
Yeah, and if Sexton's out, it's even better.
Yeah, I think that's a big caveat. If Sexton's in, I like Cleveland a lot less because, like you said, he's their emerging best player. And not only that, he's got the ball in his hands a lot.
Yes, he does. Although it wouldn't change Drummond or Okoro.
Agreed. But, really Garland and Exum.
I got you on that one. Okay, so we'll do a quick recap. We're going to go through each team like this, and then we'll kind of recap, play around with a little bit of the best plays and stuff like that. But that gives you kind of an overview of what we're thinking with the Cleveland and New York guys. Next game, I think, has also got some desirable pieces, especially if you take a look at both guards right here, which are Kobe White and Zach LaVine. They played bigger minutes the other time out. They were both fantastic. There is nothing about OKC defense that's going to scare you. And also, Garrett Temple, Denzel Valentine, and Shataransky are all not playing. So, like, their backcourt is not as deep as a lot of other teams.
And I'm telling you, another edge, I think, you just said Kobe White and Levine were fantastic. And I'm thinking to myself, man, that first slate, they weren't, like, fantastic. But they played another game since then. And a lot of people, like, either aren't going to realize it, aren't going to look into it. They're just going to remember that they were kind of mad in that first game.
Yeah, they did not play huge minutes. Not like terrible minutes like Damian Lillard 15 or anything like that. They just didn't play monster minutes. But game 2, I believe, was on a Sunday.
Yep.
So NFL was going on. People weren't really paying attention to the NBA-Preseason, which I completely understand because I'd rather watch the NFL regular season myself. But Zach LaVine played 27 minutes, threw up what seems to be about 45 DK points. Kobe White stuffed the stat sheet, having over 30 DK points himself, playing 32 minutes. I mean, White's a young emerging star himself.
Yeah.
So like him and like Levine's also, pretty good. And I think both of these guys are wildly in play today.
I couldn't agree more.
If you want to shoot your shot with Wendell Carter, fine. Porter, I have more interest in the backcourt guys. Also, Lauri Markkanen looked all right in game 1, but shot it very poorly in game 2. So he did take 10 shots. And I think Markkanen's a guy, like, he's just going to have no buyers today.
I love that call.
Now, I wouldn't put him in my optimal lineup, but it's preseason. An optimal lineup is very, I don't know how to phrase this, but
hit or miss.
Yeah, it's very much guessing and stuff like that. But the guards are my main place to go right here.
I'm with you 100%, and they're their best players.
Yeah, and their front court is more loaded right now. Like, there's not a lot of injuries. I mean, I know it's not the same because you can play absolute scrubs in the preseason, but the fact that, like, Temple, Valentine, and Satoransky are all out does not hurt Kobe White or Zach LaVine in the slightest.
Good point, man.
So that's my Chicago guys. I think we see that one pretty eye to eye. And then we move over to OKC, which is playing in their second game. You know who was awesome in game 1 for points per dollar?
Scala.
He was too. He made like every shot he took. Also, George Hill.
Oh, yeah, he was.
Now, I have struggled to see that again, but George Hill, I'm going to say I think he probably outscored Shai, who was big-time chalk and played really well, but didn't play a ton of minutes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think Shai would be the guy I'd want to go back to here. Second game, still very affordable.
Best player.
Best player, ball in his hands a lot. Not just best player by a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle to argue with that. George Hill, 11, 2, and 5, I guess. He played well early. Maybe it slowed down. I played Diallo that game. He was really, really good. I don't know much about, I don't even know how to pronounce the name, Maladin?
Yeah, Maladon. I don't know. 29 minutes, though.
29 minutes, 20 points, 2 assists, 5 boards. But I definitely think your optimal play here is going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's their best player. He's very affordable at 6,200. We'll keep our eyes peeled for this. We'll post updates in the Facebook groups and things like that if we hear anything. But, I mean, I don't know. My theory would be Shai plays 25-ish minutes.
Same. And, man, George Hill at 4K. Like, I don't hate that.
No, with shooting guard eligible, which helps too, right? Like, we definitely seem to be loaded on guards today, so you're going to have to make some decision.
No doubt about that.
Man, if you want to go back to Diallo again, okay. I think OKC got a few more guys healthy this game.
Yeah, Dort's playing.
Okay. I like that Dort kid, although I wouldn't play him probably here. I just like him as a real-life player.
Yep, for sure.
Is Horford playing tonight as well?
And Baisley.
Okay, so they're adding a lot of guys. And we like Baisley, but I struggle to play a guy in his first game.
Well, it's just they got a lot of bodies. I mean, honestly, if I had to pick one outside of Shai, for the upside, it might be Baisley, but I probably will only play Shai here. And even Shai isn't as good of a play with all these other guys there.
Yeah. I still like Shai, but guards loaded. Like, I probably would rather play Kobe White.
I definitely would rather play Kobe White. And yeah, that's just, I feel the exact same way. I mean, I think Shai will become more in play for me if Sexton plays.
I can see that. That makes a lot of sense. So early in the day, this is OKC's second game. So we like teams on their third game a lot more. It's why we were Kings heavy last night. I think all of my lineups had De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, Even Holmes, after I do those guys were playing because I didn't have time to make any pivots. But third game's better than first and second game. So, I mean, that just is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean it'll work out better, but you're better guessing with those, I guess is the best way to look at it.
Agreed.
All right, man. So I know you loved him game one. I don't think we talked about him game two because it was on a Sunday. But how do you not look at Harry Giles at 4,100?
Did he ball game two also?
Oh, my God. Even better than game one, I think.
Wow.
And that's with Nurkic back.
And I've always been a big fan, might be overblown, but I've always been a fan of Giles. So he's a guy that tore his ACL like in his last year of college, came out. He's got talent. So, yeah, I'm about it.
I'll just go scroll over here to the Portland in game two. And this is what I mean. Like, I don't have any interest in the Portland main guys. They played pretty deep into the season. Game two, Lillard played 13 minutes. Derek Jones Jr., I don't hate because they don't have to worry about running him out. But Giles, even with Nurkic back, Canner took the biggest hit to his minutes. Giles went for 19, 13, 3, 2, and 1.
It's pretty solid.
And he's 4,100.
Yeah, man, a lot to like there. Looks like there's a lot to like about him and Trent.
Yeah, Giles, I like his price tag a lot. Trent's a little bit more expensive.
Small forward, though.
Yeah, does have a small forward eligibility, which is nice in a game like this. My bigger worry for Trent might be like, what if they want Dame and CJ to run one game a little bit more?
I agree. That is definitely a worry there.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think Giles is the nuts.
Right, because what Enes Kanter is, right? You don't have to worry about getting him ready to play 30 minutes because he ain't ever playing 30 minutes.
That's true.
So, you just let him do his thing. Giles is like, what do we got right here? Is this guy going to be our backup center? And he's playing well, and he puts up points in a hurry. As far as everybody else goes, they seem to spread it out a little bit. I would have concerns about other players.
Yeah, I mean, the only concern with Giles is what you just said about the other guys. Like, potentially Nurkic plays more today.
Yeah, and Nurkic could easily play more.
That's offset by his salary, though. So I still think he's a lock. But
yeah, Giles is like the minimum.
I don't expect him to throw 40 up again,
No, but at the min like this, he only needs maybe 15 minutes to hit value. If he plays 25 minutes, damn, could be the play of the game again.
I agree. I think you just plug him in.
Yeah, he's played twice now in the preseason and balled each time.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Jones Jr., 5,900. That's a bit pricey for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's no way I'd spend that much on him. I mean, if he beats me, he beats me.
All right, so rolling over to Denver, Jokic was phenomenal in game one in a short amount of minutes. But I studied up on Denver before the preseason started, and I just don't expect their guys to play extra minutes. Coach Malone's got kind of an affinity for not really running his guys too deep. So I'm not paying $8,600 for Jokic, even though you guys have known that for 5 years now, I've been the founding member of the Jokic fan club. So I love the guy. I just probably won't use him at this price tag.
He could have been even better that game. They talked about it at the beginning. He had 4 or 5 assists in the first quarter that just the guys did not make.
Yeah, you know this. I've always loved Jokic. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's up there, not quite to Giannis territory as far as how quickly he puts up DFS points, but when he's rolling, they just fall into his lap because he's such a good passer, pure shooter, good rebounder. I mean, in 23 minutes, he did 26, 10, and 5. It's hard to replicate, but my biggest concern with the Denver guys, I just don't expect him to play significantly higher numbers of minutes right here.
True, but he doesn't need. I mean, he played 23. If he plays 25, I don't hate it if someone wants to go there. I mean, he's one of the best players on the slate.
Agreed.
He's not a priority for me. The priority for me is Campazzo. I watched a bunch of this game and was definitely watching the box scores. He played 21 minutes. This guy was a European all-star many times over. They want to get him in this offense. He looked good. I'm about it here. What's his first name?
Probably Frank, right? It starts with an F. I
No,
have no
click on him.
idea.
He's
I'm gonna
also
mess with
4.
you and only give you an initial. Facundo? No idea how to pronounce that.
So yeah, I mean, he's a guy I like that. I don't think anyone will be on.
I mean, I don't doubt that. Also, PJ Dozier. How many minutes did he end up playing? He played 18 minutes. Every once in a while, he puts up DFS points in a hurry. So if you're looking for another like low-owned guy, a couple of the guards here might work out. Jamal Murray's very affordable. I have other priorities at the guard position.
Same. It's Monte Morris and Campazzo for me. That
Oh,
Campazzo.
Barton's finally back.
Yeah, so I think only Campazzo for me.
Any interest in taking a deep flyer and Bull, or the fact he just didn't play last game enough that you've had it?
Yeah, of course I have interest because you know how I play. It was very discouraging to see like Zeke, Nandi, and other guys come in before him though. So I don't expect that to change. So it's the type of thing where if I were making like a ton of lineups, yeah, I'd throw him in. But how I play, you know, like usually decent dollars, like smaller entry stuff, I doubt I use him.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one wholeheartedly. All right, let's move over to the LA Lakers. And I guess the big elephant in the room here is we got LeBron and AD making their preseason performance or debuts tonight. Kind of turns me off from most of the Lakers. I don't know how much they're going to play.
They said they would only play like the first half.
Okay. The guy who's been phenomenal is Horton Tucker.
Yeah, he's definitely my favorite play again.
Because he's been in the starting lineup, but I think they're still developing this kid. So, like, I don't think they're worried about, like, too many minutes or anything like that. When you got Braun, AD, Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, Wesley Matthews on your team, like, he's, not inked into, like, big minutes in the regular season more than likely, but he's developing. He's just been a DFS stud.
Yeah, I mean, he's my favorite piece of the Lakers. LeBron and AD. I kind of feel about LeBron and AD as I do Jokic. I think I'd play Jokic over them though, because
For sure.
Game. They just
also
won.
Harrell's been awesome too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Harrell and Horton Tucker, my two favorite guys.
Yeah, Kuzma had a big game here, but with those guys in, I don't trust him nearly as much. I mean, Horton Tucker did 33, 10, 4, and 4. That's amazing. He played 41 minutes.
Kuzma played 40 though, so I'll say that. Like if he's playing big minutes like that, he's got to be in play.
Yeah. KCP was also really good, but I'm not overly interested.
No, I think it's the same guys. Just switch out Schroeder for Horton Tucker that we talked about last night. Like it's Kuzma. Well, in this order for me, it's Horton Tucker, Harrell, Kuzma.
Okay, I'm completely on board with that.
So
I have literally zero interest in Markieff Morris, Marc Gasol, LeBron, or AD, or any of them. But Horton Tucker might play a few less minutes because it's hard to keep playing 41. But he's being assertive and aggressive out there. He's shooting the ball well. And it's good for the Lakers to continue to develop this kid. So I would take him over Jared Dudley, that's for sure.
yeah, no doubt. I mean, this is a game that I don't really love for DFS purposes. Phoenix is a hard nut to crack right now. Also to note, Schroeder did not play the other day. He's playing tonight, so for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, and that's why as much as I like Horton Tucker, I don't know if he's like a lock yet.
Well, agreed. He's also 5,500.
But I mean, this is a guy like the way he's playing though. Like he might only need to play the fourth quarter with the rest of those guys out.
And I struggle to see them only playing him in the fourth quarter.
You know what I mean? But like he could hit value in the fourth quarter. So everything he does in the 3 quarters prior is just, bonus.
I get it. I'm with you. I think that he makes a lot of sense, even at that price. I don't think he's like a lock, but he's definitely like on the short list of guys we're looking at.
Yeah, and Montrezl Harrell looks like Montrezl Harrell. So,
man, who do you like more? Basically the same price, Harrell or Randall?
Probably Randall.
Yeah, me too. Randall's just a better DFS player, right? He's just a better basketball player than Harrell. Ooh, you think that's close? I'll say this. Randall is a much better offensive player than Harrell.
Yes. I like Harrell's. When Harrell plays DFS, like I think prisoner of the moment because Montrezl Harrell was trash in the bubble. I think we
Right.
forget how good he was at putting up DFS points prior to that.
That's fair, but it's still Julius Randle.
Yeah. It's a good question. I'd probably go Randall, though. Game 3, and he's not getting well, this is game 3 here, but AD and Bron are back tonight.
Yeah, so I'm with you. I think both are firmly in play.
All right. Phoenix has also got a bunch of guys questionable. No way am I playing Chris Paul. No way, no how. This will be their third game. Devin Booker played bigger minutes the other day, and he scored well. He didn't do much else. That's my big problem with Devin Booker right now with Chris Paul around. He isn't going to have the ball in his hand as much when it comes to actually like facilitating. So like I think he's going to be a great scorer this year. I just don't, I think he cuts into his peripherals even a little bit more, which is something he was already having a little issue with.
Definitely. He's not an $8,500 DK player for this slate. Like when the studs are priced like that, he's just not that guy. From Phoenix, for me, the guys that I like looking at are, what's his name? First off, Javon Carter at cheap, because he was like chalky last time and played a bunch of minutes, even though he didn't do anything. And Jalen Smith, who started for them last game.
Let me run over to Phoenix here real quickly just to pull up their box score.
I could see myself not using anyone from Phoenix, though.
Yeah, I'm with you. The guy I was kind of looking at was Bridges, and he's still relatively expensive as well.
Like, I'd rather use Horton Tucker or Kuzma over Bridges, personally.
Agreed.
I think a lot of people will feel that way. So if you like Bridges, I think there'll be an ownership leverage there, but I'm not too worried about the ownership there.
No, I mean, Bridges played 29 minutes last game, which was the most encouraging thing. 14, 18, 22, 23 and a half DK points. I like Ayton. Not enough to probably play him right here, though.
Sam, go down a little bit there. I want to see how many minutes Carter played.
25.
So he wasn't good, but he still played 25. I mean, I like Campazzo better for Denver. So that basically tells me I won't play Carter because I don't need that many cheap guys.
Yeah, and I got RJ Barrett, Kobe White, Zach LaVine, all these guards that I have liked. So I just don't think I'm going to have a roster spot for something like that.
For sure.
So, okay. I'm with you, though. I'm probably not looking at a ton from Phoenix right here. Like, if anything at all, period.
Yeah, I don't think I'll play anything from Phoenix. It's hard to build now, though, because there's a lot of questionable guys.
Yeah, we won't spend a lot of time in it. But also for Phoenix, like Johnson and Crowder are questionable. They could play today. You might not know. Saric is still considered questionable. They might actually get a couple of guys back right here as well, which does not help a team that I wasn't looking that closely at anyway.
For sure, no doubt.
Okay, so, I mean, if we're just kind of doing some basic building in the morning, again, guys, take this with a grain of salt.
You said something at the beginning of the video, like there's a bunch of good plays on this slate, and you're 100% right. Like there's a lot of good plays on this slate.
Yeah, as we just say we run through the point guards, Kobe White. You're probably not going to play Colin Sexton, but like the availability of him is big for the other Cleveland guys. Shai, Dante Exum,
Garland,
and then a couple of like the random Denver point guards and stuff like that we brought up. So, I mean, you got 3 or 4 point guards at your disposal right there. Zach LaVine.
Yep.
I mean, he's a good DFS player. You got Kobe White right back there as well. RJ Barrett, Horton Tucker. You mentioned Gary Trent. Dante Exum again with some availability right here. Diallo potentially from OKC, although you'd probably end up running him at the small forward position. To give you guys an idea of what you're looking at right there. Then we run back over to the small forward position and Kuzma. We didn't mention Williams from Chicago, but he's also playing decent minutes if you need something.
Sure. I like other guys. I'd rather spend down on Okoro, but I mean, sure.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Again, RJ Barrett's got small forward eligibility, Horton Tucker, Gary Trent, Diallo, Okoro.
That's it. I mean, yeah.
Also, Chetty's questionable too.
Oh, yeah, that would be huge. He balled in their first game, I think.
Yeah, he was in my best lineup that night.
I did not even think about using him.
I mean, you've got me on Chetty over the years, so he got a guest appearance from me over Garland in one lineup.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it worked out. So nice call. I do like the marketing call here. Not going to lie. I think he gets no love.
Yeah, I would agree. Markkanen is also a big part of what Chicago, if Chicago wants to like compete for the A seed, they're not. But if they wanted to, they need Markkanen to get back to the guy that he was playing when he was at his pinnacle of his early career.
I feel like their top 3 players is pretty defined right now. LaVine, Markkanen, and Kobe White in whatever order, right?
Yeah, and then you got Wendell Carter and Otto Porter. These dudes going to be healthy. I got you on that one. I mean, you got Randall and Harrell right here, which are two guys that I do have interest in. I think I will stick with what we said. I slightly prefer Julius Randle, so I think he would be the one more likely to get the nod right here.
Yes, I will say, though, on the flip side of that, kind of as we talked about yesterday, I like having late exposure because what happens if a couple guys are ruled out, which would make Harrell an even better play. So I think it's close enough where if you think it's a toss-up, go with the later guy.
Yeah, I mean, that was big for roster construction I know specifically for you last night, a little bit for me. I didn't get into it quite as closely as you did, but I know it helped a ton.
For sure.
Also, power forward isn't quite as strong. So, I mean, you might be an ability that, especially if you're playing multiple lineups, you can run these guys each together, separate, play them all a couple of times because it's not the strongest position on the board today.
No, it is not. Those three guys right there, or actually four if you include Kuzma, stand out.
Yeah. And Harrell and Randall have center eligibility, and Kuzma's got small forward to boot. All right, moving over to the centers. We kind of mentioned Jokic. I think I prefer Drummond over Jokic at $1,000 less. But I would keep my eyes peeled for any news on what Drummond's going to play today. And if Kevin Love is out, that doesn't hurt at all either.
Do you think that Drummond outscores Jokic?
I think it's potentially possible. I think that for me would have to be, what's your theory on the number of minutes these guys play? Jokic is a slightly better DFS player, but he's a much better real-life player, but only slightly better DFS player.
I agree, because Drummond does, he's such a monster at rebounds. I don't think they should be 1,000 apart. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, make your theory on what kind of minutes these guys play. It doesn't mean you're going to be right or we're going to be right, but make a theory.
Agreed. I also don't know if you need the salary, but it certainly doesn't hurt.
Yeah, and then you also have Harrell and Randall right here, which are perfectly acceptable plays. And then it goes down to the guys that we were talking about, Nerlens Noel, Mitchell Robinson, and then Harry Giles. Like, Harry Giles is the guy that I feel very comfortable playing at 4,100.
Yeah, same.
So, I mean, if I'm building like one lineup right now, which I'm not, but I think I'd go like Giles, Randall, and then at the small forward position, let's go with Horton Tucker right here, RJ Barrett, and then right here, I mean, let's just grab Kobe White since we seem to like him. You move over to the other guard position, Zach LaVine, potentially the guys that we were talking about, like from Cleveland, Shai, and you can easily afford a couple of these guys. So if you wanted to go Shai, what's that?
Only one cheap guy in your lineup in Giles, and you can roster basically everyone else you want.
Yeah. And this is like where it's fine to leave some money on the table. There's no reason that you have to like force it to play $1,000 because Zach LaVine will probably outscore LeBron tonight.
I mean, I agree that you just don't need to force it. It makes you uncomfortable, but I think that's another edge in preseason.
And this could be like, if you really liked, just say it was this lineup. Now, obviously, you can make your changes depending on the Cleveland guys and everything that goes out in it. But like we talked about Randall, Harrell, and Markkanen. Maybe you play Randall and Harrell. If you do a 3-entry max, Randall and Markkanen and Harrell, and you wouldn't have to make any other significant changes if you like this. Otherwise, you can mess around with Zach LaVine and maybe go with, Jokic or Drummond or something like that.
Sure.
So, again, this is the morning time, guys. This is all so subject to change by the end of the day, but just giving a basic idea of our overall thoughts at 10:18 Central in the morning.
Yeah, that's all it is.
So, got anything else to throw in there?
No, that's all I got. Just, our members, stay tuned for updates. And that's another thing about when you become a member. We try to get these videos out early. Sometimes things change. So if you're a member, you have access to all that new information and all that stuff. And it's big.
And I mentioned this yesterday. A lot over the past couple of years, and I know a lot of you guys with small kids can probably understand that, but when it comes to like setting your NBA lineups, if you have children, like that's dinner time. That's like, school sports and stuff like that. So you struggle to be around. Well, guess what? Courtesy of coronavirus, I don't ever get to leave the house anymore. So I would be around a lot this year. It'll be a little extra attention for lineup building and stuff like that. Shout out to all paying customers.
Yeah. So let's get it, guys. Thanks again.
Yep. Sign up on for overlay and all, stuff like that. All right. Thanks, guys.